If you own a clothing brand or are looking to start a clothing brand, you should watch this video because I'm basically going to be going over how I've been able to generate close to 7 figures with my brand. My name's Colin and I'm the owner of Lithic, which is my clothing brand that I still run in college. I'm 19 and for the past 2 years, I've done around $700,000 with my main clothing brand and 5 figures with around 3 other clothing brands. So I would say I'm a little bit qualified to talk about these things. I'm also going to be breaking down my basic marketing strategies to help your brand get more sales. When starting out, it's really important to understand the industry that you're going to and if you're enjoying that industry. For me, I love clothing, so it was really easy to just jump in the clothing brand space. But you really need to realize if you're not enjoying the industry you're in, you're not going to see long term success. With a lot of owners I talk to, they'll start clothing brands, but they won't really be passionate about what they're producing. And that makes it really hard to stick with it. And they're really just not going to see any long term success. I started out with drop shipping. You probably know what drop shipping is, but basically, I was actually selling clothing that was already developed. So it's a little bit different than what I'm doing now because I'm developing the clothing from scratch. But yeah, when I started out, I had a drop shipping store, and that kind of led me into the true clothing brand space. And it was a good segue into realizing where I want to find my success. So, to break down my basic release strategy for my clothing brand, you always want to build up hype for the product that you're releasing, especially if you're not a known clothing brand. It's really important to get in your sample and start marketing it as soon as you can because the more time people see it, the more sales it's going to lead to. And I believe that if a product can do well organically, it can also do well with paid ads. I use Meta for my paid ads, so that's Instagram and Facebook. But if you don't have a big budget, don't spend all of your money on ads because that could really backfire. Or you should grow your products organically first. If you're just starting with ads, it's kind of stupid because you're just gonna be wasting money if you can't really grow organically. So definitely go the organic route first. You should be posting on Instagram and TikTok, posting on as many platforms as possible because the goal is to get as much reach as possible. There's been a couple times where I look to release a product that wasn't getting a great organic response, and those are going to be my worst products that I've released because you truly know how the product is going to do and how far it can go with the organic response. And it's really hard for someone starting out with 0 followers to get a crazy organic reach, but that's why platforms like TikTok push your content intentionally for people to see it. TikTok is how I sold out the first couple of my drops and can be a really powerful tool to new brands. Now, I do want to go over not all products are good products. You can't just screen print a logo on a t-shirt and expect it to sell. You need to have some uniqueness in your product or you're not going to get as many sales. Like, why would someone buy a t-shirt with just your logo on it? Unless it's a really cool logo, that usually does not happen. Going along with my marketing, I believe that the product should sell itself. But in many cases, this is not true. You need to really focus on your brand identity when starting a new brand because that's the only reason people are going to buy from you, unless you have a very unique product. Brand identity is really important because it kind of builds the structure of your products that you're selling. It's also really important to understand what products you can sell to your audience because someone could structure an audience to only build a specific type of product, while other audiences can be really flexible in what you release and it can kind of be up to the creator. And that's what I kind of really enjoy is like developing brands that you can release crazy pieces. Your marketing also includes your landing page, which I can make a whole separate video on just the operations of a landing page, but your website is really important. For example, I just made a TikTok on this, but brands that have the enter screens that are below 10,000 followers, I do not understand those at all. Like, why would you have a screen that limits your customer from buying your product? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Something you need to be looking out for in the future is you need to be planning ahead constantly with your clothing brand. And this is what I kind of struggle in is planning multiple drops ahead of schedule. So like for example, your Christmas drop should be planned probably around 4 or 5 months before Christmas. This is because you kind of want to refine it. And especially if you're doing pre-made, which I totally recommend, I don't really want to push pre-order because pre-orders can have a lot of issues with small clothing brands, but again, I could talk more about that later. You really want to perfect your drops and have it so the customer knows exactly what they're getting. And also, what the shipment times look like, because shipment times are also very important. Now, something I wish I did differently with my brands is I wish I structured my drops a lot better. It's really hard to plan ahead 4 to 5 months because you really don't know what to expect in 4 to 5 months, but that's really how long you should be planning ahead. You should be producing new pieces all the time so you have them ready to release. And holidays are really important release dates. You can capitalize a lot of sales on holidays because people are looking to buy.